You ain't never
Snap.
lied. Hey, what's going on? It's Musa the Mental Mechanic, author of the book Forever Fearless. And today we have the incredible, magnificent, majestic Mariela Cinderella. How are you?
I love the Cinderella part. I appreciate it. I made the glass slipper. That's a part of the part. Okay.
We gonna make them though.
Okay.
Fearless footwear coming soon. Okay.
That was a good.
Look, we gonna
Yeah,
figure it out. But I've known Mariela for years. Awesome story. But what we're going to do is we are first going to figure out how smart she is by going through a couple of the phobias that are in this book that we start with. So,
okay.
Are you ready for this?
Okay.
All right, boom. Real easy, real simple. I'm saying no pressure except that the whole world watching.
No pressure.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay. Nobody tell me.
Okay.
I'm saying.
Look away. Okay.
Ready to see what kind of kid you are.
Okay.
Bathmophobia.
Who?
Bathmophobia.
That sounds bad.
It's the fear of
baths?
No, why would you think that?
Because it says bath.
Okay.
No, okay.
You see, that's the school system.
Okay.
I'm saying I blame it on him. Public school system.
We failed.
It's actually the fear of stairs or steep slopes.
What?
Crazy.
That doesn't.
Hey,
the name doesn't
I make the phobia, okay?
Okay, fine.
Go with it. Here we go.
Nice.
Catrophobia.
Catrophobia?
Yeah. Now think about it.
Thinking how.
So if bathophobia is fear of slopes, then catrophobia gotta be the. If you say.
I'm cheating. I was just going.
If you say cats, I'm like roundhouse kick you in.
Okay, but does it make sense?
Okay,
so...
no domestic violence. Okay, catrophobia.
I was gonna say cats too.
You really get thrown off the dock there.
Okay,
it's the fear of mirrors, okay? And if you saw how long it took us to get ready to make sure that her curls were popping, you know that she doesn't have a fear.
The right angle,
okay,
just
let's acknowledge the curls.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. I hope the lighting can actually see that.
Okay, there we go. Very nice. All right, and so the last one is
my intelligence level just went out the door.
No. Here we go. We're all about encouragement here. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Hey, you stupid girl. Coulrophobia. Coulro phobia.
Dude, I quit.
Wow.
Where are my lifelines right now?
This is Forever Fearless. You don't quit in this stuff.
Okay. I quit directly into my lifelines. Can I have a call a friend?
Yeah, you know, call a friend.
Okay.
You ain't got no problem with calling a friend.
What's up?
What is it? What is it? Give it.
Fear of. Say the word again.
You said origin of speech, please. Girl, I ain't no got no family.
So can you sound it out?
Coulrophobia. 5, 4, 3.
Clowns.
You look at the thing here.
No, I didn't.
No,
I don't know the sounding out of the word. I was like,
I'm gonna watch this back. Yeah.
You can watch it back.
Wow. Okay. All right. We're all about integrity here. Okay. We're gonna worry about that. But with that being said, there's obviously hundreds of phobias. Some are crazy. Some are more common. But we all have dreams, which means that we all have fears. So tell me about one of the fears that you had to deal with in your life and overcome.
Oh God, there's so many. And I think that probably the most recent and live and in color for me was my body dysmorphia.
Okay.
The fear of physically looking what I considered incorrect. I spent a lot of my years in secret eating disorders, and in that world we say you're changing seats in the Titanics, right? So you may start as an anorexic, but along the paths you kind of dibble dabble maybe with bulimia, maybe with overeating, etc. And I spent a lot of time from the time that I was young, probably 12, 13, really struggling. And for me, it started as a control thing, right? There were so many factors in my life and my family home and me personally, you know, you always have a constant fight with your own demons, right? The ones that other people may not see, and the ones that you're afraid to express to other people so that they can see. And for me, food became a source of control. Right? Everything else can be out of control, but my food intake or my lack thereof, I controlled. And it started as that, and soon enough it became about my body image. It never was enough, because for so long all I ever heard was my body. How my body was, the beauty of my body, how, you know, I had my mom's body from when she was young and used to model.
So people were complimenting you.
Absolutely. And obviously they didn't do it with the intent of, or they had no idea whatsoever the damage that it was causing, because they were, you know, you do it, hey, you look good today, Musa.
But then it's also something to try and sustain.
Yes,
you know what I
yes.
mean? So.
And it was something that I had to keep up with. I couldn't, if I didn't look a certain way, then I felt like I failed. All I had going for me in my mind was my body. And so if that got deformed or distorted somehow, then now I lose everything.
Crazy.
I lose the value of myself. I lose the value that other people have towards me or with me, you know, because it's my body. My body was it, you know, the compliments came of my body. It wasn't how much. I remember when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I think one day I just had a day of frustration, and I was thinking about it, and I was going through it, and I was like, man, why can't people see, like, I'm also intelligent. I have nice hair. I have a good body. Sure.
She's like, I mean.
And like, and I'm also really smart. I can also hold up an intelligent conversation. I can also speak to you about politics. I also have a passion for the injustice in this world. I also like, there's so many other layers to me.
For sure. I mean, not guessing phobias, but the other things, though, right? For sure.
Guessing phobias may not be a trait.
No,
it's fine. We can't be perfect in everything. I need you to focus. So with that being said, as you can see, body image was a huge thing for me, and then body dysmorphia became a huge thing. I was never too skinny. I was never good enough. It was never enough weight loss. It was never, and there's a taboo, right? In our cultures, in Hispanic culture, in African American cultures, in minority culture, period, of these are things you don't speak of, right?
You just feel it.
You feel it, you keep it in you, you have the fear of, you have the phobia, you have all the million things, but you don't have a conversation about it. You don't express it. You don't express about needing therapy. Like,
just suffering in silence.
You suffer in silence because it's such a taboo for you to speak on these things. So I never spoke about it. About 3 years ago, I had a health complication. I started with a cough, and this is when COVID was first breaking out, and I started with a cough, and I didn't think biggie of it. Went to work one day, and my boss has, hey, you should go check that out, because it doesn't sound very healthy. I did exactly that. To make that long story short, that precautionary visit to an urgent care turned into almost 2 months of hospitalization.
Wow.
I had 3 different pulmonary viruses.
Crazy.
And then on top of that exacerbated my asthma. In turn, also while being in the hospital, there was an outbreak of COVID. So I actually got COVID on top of everything else. My lungs are collapsing. I was in the ICU, etc. But in the midst of all of that, one of the factors to keep me alive was an enormous amount of steroids.
Crazy.
Enormous amount of steroids that every time they would try and lower, I would relapse.
Oh, wow.
So they had to maintain it so high. You're talking about double the dosage of steroids for about 2 months, and even after getting out of the hospital, I had to continue on them for almost a year.
Right. And thinking about like what that actually is doing to your body.
Completely.
Yeah.
That's what factored in. Everything that I had feared about my physical appearance, as shallow as it may be, right? Because some people think like, it's your physical appearance. How can you, like, come on, there has to be more to it.
But it is so important, you know what I mean? Like for people
your
that
shell is everything.
Yeah.
Your shell is everything in the sense of how you perceive it and how you take care of it. Like it's your temple, right? So it goes so much deeper than just the facade of aesthetics.
Yeah, because a lot of times like, it is attached to your soul, you know what I mean? Like it's a one, right?
Completely. It's even something that we hide behind a lot of the time. We dress it up nice, we make it look pretty, you know, we put the makeup on, we do the hair, and we go out into the world and present ourselves to the world.
Right.
So to me, that fear of that and that body dysmorphia for me signified so much depth in me and so much hurt and so much trauma and so much pain that it went beyond just the outer shell.
Yeah, because you're fighting for your actual life.
Completely.
And then you're actually fighting for your mental health as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in that intake of that amount of dosage of steroids, my body became everything that I feared. It became completely distorted.
Yeah.
My weight, I was at a weight where I couldn't walk.
Wow.
I can barely go upstairs. I had to endure physical therapy so that I can learn to be able to sustain my body and stand up without my body just kind of collapsing because my ankles couldn't carry so much weight.
Wow.
And I fell into a depression because my worst fear had just come true.
Crazy.
I was a walking, living, and breathing my worst fear.
And so I appreciate you sharing that so much. But I think that it's so deep the way that you said that, right? Because there's even like a verse in the Bible where it says, the thing that I feared most, you know what I mean, has come upon me. And it's wild because just even when you think about like, you know, Joe Dispenza, and he talks about like how what you're focused on, like we're sending out frequencies, meaning that like even with a radio, you turn the dial and a different frequency is being sent out, meaning that it's receiving something else, right? And so no matter what you're focused on, whether it be it's prospering in life or whether, oh man, I'm never gonna have enough, guess what? Whatever you think you're gonna have,
that's exactly
you're gonna have. Like you have the ability to a certain degree to create yourself and create your life by the things that you're focusing on and then drawing in.
Right,
you know what I mean? So,
right. Absolutely. And I think that was one of the things that I came to understand was, you know, I feared it so much, and while fearing it, it also was something that I refused to truly tap into and to truly deal with. I kept that fear so hidden that you could be my closest, most intimate. You had no idea that fear that I was honing with. And I feared that not just for myself, but I would fear it. It would be a projected fear, you know? Like I would see somebody and I'm like, oh God, you know.
Don't say that, don't say that.
You're
so focused on it that you actually drive near.
Right, completely and absolutely. You know, so at this point, after all of this happened, I saw myself with a body I didn't recognize, with a human being reflecting back in the mirror that I had no idea who she was.
Crazy. And
I couldn't even turn to the tools that I knew in order to control it because it was out of my control. So there we go. A whole nother fear that I had, which was not being in control. I was just manifested and walking in it.
Right.
I had no control about what my body looked like. I had no control of what my body was doing and what it was given in order to keep it alive. But it needed to stay alive, and it did what it did. So in hindsight, I was alive. On the other end,
the quality of life.
Right. My quality of life was on the floor, but all I could think of was, what I feared the most is now what I am. And there was so much shame attached to that. Like I stayed locked in my house for 2 years worth of that recovery. And
that's wow.
it was not so much just because of the process that I was going through to being able to physically and really get to a place where I could be around people, but just because my truth is, I didn't want people to see what I looked like.
No, understood. Like, who wants that? If you feel like you were at your worst, obviously you don't want people to see you at your
Absolutely,
worst.
especially because in my mind, it was like,
that's your value.
That's it. Yeah. Like, I can't go have lunch with Musa. Like, then Musa's gonna see what I look like now, and I can't sit there and tell this story to every person that sees me. They just see the outer shell, and they're like, she needs to eat better. I didn't want to go into restaurants. It has taken me a while to be able to go and sit in restaurants.
Right. Wow.
Because in my mind, because it was my thinking, it was my fear, it was my... It's all a projection of me, right? And I was in the place of, I would look at certain types and certain things, and I would have my thoughts of judgment. Now that judgment has now become self-judgment.
Yeah, I mean, it's your imagination.
Completely.
You know what I mean? Because no one obviously, or maybe, tell me if I'm wrong, but did anyone come up to you and there was like, oh my gosh, or pointing fingers at you?
Absolutely not.
But in our brains, we'd be like, everyone's looking at me.
Completely.
This is how I feel. You know what I mean?
And the binoculars were on everyone, and they were looking up close and personal.
Yeah, and talking and whispering and saying rumors and saying all the negative things that you're imagining in your mind, when in reality, no one's probably even thinking about you.
Right, absolutely. But you know what happens? There's two things that I learned in this process. And number one was, fear isn't always a bad thing. Fear and the direction and the impact that it has in your life, whether valued to be good or not so good, fully and solely weighs on what you do with it, right? Because the fear, in that moment, I was in the process of adoption with my son. The fear of knowing that that adoption wasn't sealed, and if I gave in and I let my life be taken from me, I didn't know what was going to happen with my son.
That's real.
I don't know what orphanage, what foster home, what was going to occur. The fear of that pushed me the hell out of the hands of death.
That's amazing.
That fear kept me alive. In retrospect, now you take that fear, I used it for good.
And it's so funny that you mentioned that, right? Because even in the book, I talk about how, like you mentioned, fear isn't always a bad thing. You know, because fear can be fuel. And so I compare it even to the wind, right? Like, somebody's like, we could both be on this. It goes back to perception and perspective, but we could both be on the ocean. We're both on like little rafts or whatever, and you're complaining, oh, the wind's blowing, oh my gosh, what am I? And I could take off my shirt and create a sail out of it, you know what I mean, and use that to blow me towards the shore.
You're scared crapless that you might fall off, and things might not go well. But that same fear is pushing you to, I can either do that, or I can sit. I can sit here and I can let all of that happen that I'm fearing, or I can have that fear and do otherwise with the fear alongside, right?
100%.
So that was number one. That number one lesson for me was exactly that. Fear doesn't have to always look ugly. Fear can be the fuel. It can be the incentive, and it can be everything that you need to push through to get to where you want to be and where you need to be, right? So in this case for me, it was where I needed to be. I needed to be alive. I needed to be with my son. The second thing was confronting the depths of that body dysmorphia that I struggled so much with. I had no control at that point. I didn't have control of the fact that I went from being someone that at max would see 130 to a person that was at 210 pounds. Could barely walk because of the weight.
In your household?
I'm like 5'4".
Right, so even, I feel like 190 is a lot for me, and I'm 6 foot. You know what I mean? Like I feel the difference in 5 pounds going from 185 to 190. Even the way my clothes fit. You know what I mean? So I would even imagine you probably have to switch all your clothes, just everything.
No, everything, and that was enough. It was a conjunction of things, because you don't realize how much it affects every single area. It affected my mental health in its like greatest and biggest way. It affected it because now not only was I living in the midst of that phobia, not only was I living in the midst of that fear, not only was I in absolute no control whatsoever, but now I'm isolated. I'm in the dark. I can't physically do anything. I'm not participating in life. Now you're talking about depression and that black hole becoming deeper and deeper with no light in it.
Because it was getting darker.
Completely.
You know, like you said, you felt like the steroids were making you heavier. Obviously, you're also bedridden.
Absolutely.
You said, I think you were telling me when you were initially going through your story how like you couldn't even go down the steps. You couldn't drive anymore.
I couldn't drive. So if I needed to go to a doctor's appointment, if I needed to do anything, someone else had to do it for me.
And I know you're such an independent person.
So I'm independent. I've lived on my own forever. Like I am in the hustle and tussle. Now all of a sudden I'm couch bedridden. I can't do activities with my kid. I can't take my kid out. I can't take my kid to school.
Wow.
I can't get in the car and drive whenever we need groceries. You know, Instacart became my best friend.
I think you set me up on that afterwards.
It's life.
Okay.
Unless you, just Instacart. We need to get advertising.
I was about to say, Instacart, if you're out there, I mean.
We're here talking about you. And it was, again, so many factors. But now you put in my mental health. Now you put in, I'm living and soaking in all these things. And the depression is going deeper and deeper. But again, taboo. I can't possibly express this. I don't care even if it's justified because of the condition I'm in. I couldn't talk about that. I couldn't mention the facts because then you deal with everybody else around you kind of like, are you okay?
And that doesn't, you know what I mean? So
are you okay? So now you're talking anxiety because to me, I don't know what's going to happen next. But then God. Then there was a day where it was either I fell deeper into the black hole and I completely lost me, the life that I had fought so much to keep in order for my son to have the security of a home. And I stood in front of the mirror and I had to tell myself this. If it wasn't for that body, you wouldn't be alive. If it wasn't for what that body did and what it took, right? Because it took all the injections, it took all the shooting up of steroids, it took all of that. It got beat up and it still made it to the other side. How you physically look is the last thing you need to worry about. When I understood and really soaked that in and saw that and took it and walked the path and the journey that I'm still walking on, right? Because, 40 to 60 pounds lighter later, a year after where I am walking, obviously I'm driving myself, etc. I still struggle with it. There's still days, like, let's be real. It's not like you wake up and you overcome your fear and it never comes back again and you never have to deal with it again. Absolutely not.
It's a daily thing.
It is a daily decision to accept who I am, what I look like, and the whole packaging. Some days look nicer than others. Other days look a little bit grayer than the one before. And there was an overcoming of that intense fear and that body dysmorphia that was outweighed by, and I'm alive. I'm alive.
You're a fighter.
I am a fighter and I'm going to continue to fight.
Absolutely.
And come today, again, it's not that I don't struggle with those things, those thoughts kind of creeping in and coming in. However, I've come to terms with my truth.
Yeah.
I've come to terms that is something that I deal with. I've come to terms with acknowledging it, with communicating it.
Right.
I don't care what my cultural, what my religious situation, what just the taboo may be of not talking and not speaking, and this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is what I have been through. You may not get to hear my story and you just see the packaging.
For sure.
But I know my story.
Right.
And I know that what you're looking at is a walking miracle.
Right.
Imperfect, under construction, on a daily, but I choose to walk the journey of facing my fears every day.
Yeah, love that.
And in particular, the fear of the body dysmorphia manifesting, and therefore the actions to kind of keep that body dysmorphia in check.
For sure.
Which for me was, the eating disorder.
Yeah.
And I have to face that every day, but I choose to take it. And I heard somebody once say, like, I look at fear and I tell it, hey, fear, I'm so glad you're there. Cool. Oh, you're not going anywhere?
Yeah.
That's fine. So come along, because I'm still going to do it.
1,000%.
It's perfectly fine. I'll still go. I'll still present myself in front of a camera, and
I'm going to show up.
I'm going to show up, and whatever comes from it can only be glorious. The story that I tell, the experiences that I have, and it could only be, it can't be any worse, right? It can't be used for anything darker. I went through the dark part of that fear.
But doesn't it make you braver when you've gone, like,
totally.
This is the dark part? Because then you're just like, I've already been here.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely. And just the fact that you know how empowering it is for you to realize that you were the walking manifestation of your biggest, darkest fear.
That you imagined. And then you're not scared. You know what I mean? Obviously, the fears try and come, but that's where you have to even remind yourself daily. You know what I mean? And like we mentioned, it's a struggle. A struggle is another word for fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like every single day, I have to. Oh man, you've almost got to remind yourself who you are.
Yeah.
And remind yourself what you've been through.
Yeah.
You know? So, just the highest level of respect to you in regards to that, and I appreciate you fighting, because it's crazy. Because even as your friend, I would have never. Again, just looking at somebody, like, I would have never known that you battled with those things.
Yeah.
And that's why it is so important for people out there to be, I don't want to say voices of reason, but just that you actually check on your strong friends, right?
Yes.
Because, you obviously have the persona, and I know you're a genuine person, of being just a strong, like, independent. I'm like, oh man, and she's, got her son, and she takes care of this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
She doesn't need I don't even need to ask her how she's doing. She's fine. And you have no idea the battles that everyone is dealing with,
Yeah, and I think, that's something that I've always struggled with, and I think that also has played a big role into my fear of communicating what I was really going through, was because I had worked so hard to put a persona of someone who had my things together, who's strong,
and don't we all?
Who can who can face the world and nothing phases her, and the mother of all, but that also was a hindrance to me, because that just fed my mental health battle of, like, just being able to say, hey, Musa, like, I'm not okay. I am not okay. Like, it hit so home to me, for example, when I saw, Twitch. Twitch was someone I admired, and I've been watching since, so you think you can dance, so he started, and he's a perfect example for me. Like,
smiling all the time.
I felt it, because I was like, I hear that.
Yeah.
I hear that. Like, we present that facade, and we get so caught up in what we created, because we ourselves created that, right?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. We created that whole persona to everyone of, I'm the strong one. If you need me, I'm here. I got you. Of making jokes out of everything, but little to know, the more jokes I make, it's really the more I'm so sad, and I'm slowly drowning.
But again, a heart like yours is you'll still take care of everybody else
completely
before, like while you're drowning. Drake had this one line in the song, and I hate to quote Drake, but if you're watching this, shout out to you. Let's get an endorsement. October's very own Scorpio season over here in October.
right.
But it was the line where he's like, wait now, everybody, wait now. Promise to break everybody else before I break down. Like I'll break everybody. I'll make sure everyone's good.
Yeah.
While I'm breaking down.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's just the most beautiful and heroic, but also like heartbreaking thing to like experience as those people, because they will give themselves fully up.
Yeah.
And there's other people, unfortunately, in life that will use you all up.
Yeah.
And then go to the next person. And so that's why boundaries and things like that are so important. But you know.
But here's the thing, right? And this is just conversation. I think that, and this is a truth that I had to come to with myself, and it's that sometimes we look at those people. People would look at me and think, you know, she's so selfless, you know. But the truth is, in my portraying of selflessness, I was being so immensely selfish.
Yeah.
Because the truth is that while you were giving yourself and your vulnerability and your brokenness to me, I was keeping all of that from you. And I was portraying a facade of I'm letting you in. But the truth is that I, even in that, kept my control.
Ain't that crazy?
It's insane.
And so what you said is so powerful, because you know, obviously we have our different colors of the tracksuits and things like that, but I specifically named them certain things because they mean something to me, and I know that they'll mean something to the world. And so the navy blue is, the Nipsey blue is called True to You Blue, you know, and
love it.
Just the other day I was like, when was the last time you were you?
Right.
Like really think about that, you know? A lot of times we're in jobs that we have to say a certain thing, we have to act a certain way, our hair has to be a certain way.
Yeah.
How long would your hair be if you didn't have to work for the company?
Right.
What would you say? What would you wear? What would you post? Knowing that you want to be fired for these, like seriously. And so we play a role for so long that we almost, like we never actually get to take it off, because we got to play the role in front of our parents, and we got to play it in front of our friends, then our corporate friends, and then we got to play it in front of our wife and our kid. It's like, no, like what friends do you have where you can actually be you around?
Right.
Use the language, listen to the music, like just be the you that you are actually are.
In your absolute bare naked truth. And the truth is that I think the vast majority of us are not.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think
like,
literally 99% of people on the planet
like
are acting
don't
like
get on us
else.
for statistics, guys. But you know, it's a pretty large, percentage.
Yeah.
That the truth is, and that's something that I am not just now at 37 years old trying to really dive into, and it's knowing who in the world am I. What music do I really like?
You actually like. Yeah.
What artists do I really like? What career path is it that I'm really passionate about?
Right.
What do I really enjoy doing?
Yeah.
I spent so much, my entire life, trying to fit into what I was said that I was meant to be doing.
Yeah, or like what someone told you.
What the expectations of what I should be. You know, that I, even till today, I still hear the comments like, you need to go to school and do this. I don't know why you never finished, because that's exactly who you are. And I'm like,
isn't that crazy?
Right. So no. And we spent so much, if not all of our lives, sadly, trying to live up to the expectations of self, of others, of a culture, of a religion, of a legalism, of a system, of an image that we're supposed to fulfill.
Right. That
now is where I'm getting to a place of really asking myself, who am I? Like, I never thought about it before. I was on autopilot when someone would ask me, who's your favorite artist?
And you just say what everyone else
Yeah. It depended,
Yeah.
Now,
Now you like country.
They ask, I love country.
You gotta go.
I love country.
You know, like
I love country. But now, when I get asked it, and it was very confronting. You know, that situation with my health has just done so much mind-boggling things for me.
Yeah.
And so much confrontation of self that was a huge one. Like. Yeah. I remember somebody in the midst of all of that. I didn't have the energy to portray anything. Like, I just didn't have the energy.
But that's the thing, and that's what comes down. It's like, that's where I think midlife crises come. Because people are like,
sure.
yo, I'm not this. I don't want to do this anymore.
I'm tired of this. Like, this is not
acting. Yeah.
I don't even like this job. And the guy's been working that job for 40 years, you know?
On autopilot. Though.
Yeah, on autopilot.
Yeah.
And then we're no longer living, but we're existing, and we have no idea that we're just existing.
Yeah.
And
because you never really saw somebody live.
At all. And our parents and our ancestors and they did the best that they could.
Surviving.
They survived.
Yeah.
Here's the truth. We don't have to survive anymore.
Man.
Like,
but someone has to actually almost like tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as I was telling you with things, even with the clothing and things, and how that's taken off. You're so used to punching a clock in that I have to do this. No, like you can actually be free.
Right.
You can actually be you.
Yeah.
And do what you want to do.
Right. So what you wanted is to do a clothing line? So you can do that. Oh, but I don't have, and we can bust out a million reasonings and excuses of why.
Of course.
But here's the thing.
The best at it.
Do it anyway.
Yeah.
Do it anyway.
Even with, like, I think that sometimes we almost wait for someone to give us permission.
Yeah.
To leave a job.
Yes, we were having that conversation every time.
To be great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I'm gonna be it whether you say it or not, whether you're with me or not. You know, and that's a whole different fear. Is the fear, like a fear of loneliness.
Yeah.
But even from the first time that you mentioned like the body and you trying to keep the facade, there was a fear that we had kind of like glanced over, but I think it's so fitting for so many of us. And it's I'm probably gonna butcher this, but cataglophobia, and that's actually the fear of being ridiculed.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why people don't try things.
Yeah.
And that's why people have to keep up this facade. And that's why, because what are they going to say if I lose this job?
Right.
And what are they going to say if I have to downgrade that home? If I have to keep this home, have to keep these cars, have to keep going out with these girls, and it's like, who's saying that you have to?
Right. Like, I have to drown myself in debt so that I can keep that car and that house, and I have to do all this crazy, like some people even go to the extreme committing fraud and
you've seen it, the girl in Miami, was what, the PPP loans, whatever.
Miami is a hotspot for that.
We don't know about that.
It's all done for the sake of keeping up with. And my whole thing was exactly that. Understanding that everything for me came from the fear of fill in the blank. And we seek so much, even unconsciously or unconsciously, the validation for every step that we take.
And that's what we talk about, asking permission. Like, you don't need anyone else's permission.
Right.
To be great, to be you.
Right. Like if you have a dream, with the fear, do it.
Yeah.
If you have, and it's not even, sometimes we hear the thing, the dream. No, I have dreams and I have goals, and somehow think that dream or that goal has to be this huge thing, become a millionaire. No, like I'm talking real, actually heartfelt, like my dream and my goal is that everything that I went through in my life, personally, family-wise, like just outwardly and inwardly, makes an impact and makes a difference, and that I can leave an imprint the day of tomorrow. That is my dream and goal. Guess what? If that means me sitting here and putting and exposing and being vulnerable and sharing like, hey, I battled an eating disorder for my entire life, then that's my doing a part scared.
Yeah, for sure.
Completely fearful and vulnerable, because who is vulnerable and not scared?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because again, being ridiculed, fear of rejection, that people will, now know that you don't have everything together all the time, which is always a lie, because who has everything together all the time?
I remember I used to hear a lot. I still hear it a lot. You're so private. You're so private. Like nobody ever knows what's going on with you. Like you're very private. Social media, because that's social media is the new newspaper of everybody's business. At least the pretend one that they choose to put on there, because they choose to put that on there. And it wasn't until recently that I realized it wasn't because I was private, because I believe, I need to keep things private and it's sacred. I was keeping it private because I was afraid if I let anyone know and then I failed, or I didn't follow through, I had no accountability. So in that conclusion, what would happen is I didn't have to deal with the outside criticizing.
Also crushing on you,
as I just had to deal with the inside, and I was used to kind of like suppressing it and pushing that aside and disassociating from it, and that was a lot easier than having to deal and having to face, sit down with Musa and now explain to him that I know I said that I was gonna, and that I was gonna go through with that deal, but like I backed out. I just chickened out, whether it be fear, whatever. And so that was really the reason why I was so private before.
Understood.
Now I'm private, but I'm private because, listen, I choose what I want to put out there. And when I put it out there, I want to know that I'm putting it out there with an intent. With intent, with an intention, with purpose, and for an end goal of it doing something beyond me. Right? Not just because I just want to share it. Like I just want to put on that I have a new boyfriend. Okay, great.
Again? Oh wow.
To me, that it's just, again, we go into the whole like embarrassment of like, I gotta now put every couple of months. Now I got a new boyfriend. You're not official when you're on IG.
You don't want to explain to us why. No, I'm invested in this. Right. You gonna let me know why y'all broke up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In all honesty, I just wanted to. I appreciate your story. I appreciate you being transparent. I appreciate your bravery. I appreciate your willingness to live, especially for yourself as well as your son. When your back was against the wall, when you're literally living in a world of the fear that you feared like the absolute most, So I just want to say I appreciate you as that person. If there's anyone who's out there who is dealing with that, what's like one word of advice that you can give to them?
Reach out. I think that fear, and in this particular situation, eating disorders and body dysmorphia, all these things are so isolating. They're so secretive. They're so intimately ours. And you're as sick as your secrets.
Say that again?
You are as sick as your secrets. My best advice is the first step of all things. Recognize and acknowledge and reach out. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all together in order to. You don't have to have the solutions in order for you to express your problem. That's what going the path is meant for. And keep on going. Keep on keeping on. This is a journey. It isn't just about you reaching out and getting a therapist and now like, no, I'm dealing with it. We had a conversation. I was telling Musa, I go, people don't like to talk about and don't realize that even going to therapy, it's work. You have to put in the work in order for what you are learning, what you're being exposed to, what you're exposing yourself to, in order for it to have results. So keep on keeping on. Reach out, speak, and don't live in the puddle of your self-shame, because the truth is, you're not the only one.
100%.
You're not the only one.
100%. I appreciate you so much. Thank you
Sure.
again for being on. I hope that you all got some great value from that. And again, for anyone who's dealing with that, please reach out because we're all fighting something and going through something, you know? So it's everything's better when you have a team or just even someone to go through it with, you know? So again, we're here for you. Please reach out. But until next time, be brave, be bold, be fearless. Love y'all.